Hello, Roftwood. I'm Zombie GG with the Roftwood Coordination Center, proudly presenting you with another post-apocalyptic production I like to call an RCC Fireside Chat. With me today is Lord Moloch, a seasoned veteran from the group that has haunted Roftwood successfully for my entire career as a player and has been a name infamous throughout Malton since September 2005 till today in May 2019, the Ridleybank Resistance Front. Without further ado, here is my discussion with the RCC's public enemy number one, my personal all-time arch nemesis, Lord Moloch, former Papa of the RRF and present strike leader of the RRF's Gore Corps. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest right now. It is Lord Moloch, the current Papa of the Ridleybank Resistance Front, Malton's most feared and legendary zombie, just anti-survivor group. Lord Moloch, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I do have to mention at this stage that I'm actually not the present Papa of the RRF.
Oh, my bad. I'm kind of ignorant about the RRF, and I'm very looking forward to being educated in this series. So,
That's cool, we'll go into that.
let's just start off with, how did you come to Urban Dead?
I came to Urban Dead pretty much the same way everyone else does, which is a friend's already into it, and they're getting pissed off with playing alone, so they start aggravating all of their other friends, asking them to join in. And in my case, what happened was the person who you know as Cyanide knew me from another web forum, and she messaged me asking me to join her Urban Dead group down in the southwest. So I joined in as a classic survivor, as everyone does, and just went from there. And then I got way more obsessively into it than she was, and I wound up being the person dragging her into other things all the time.
Do you remember what year this was?
It was late 2006. I think it was like December 2006 they got me to join in. And then 2007 was when I started to get really into it.
Yeah, so like this was with your Lord Moloch character, huh?
This was with another character, I believe, called the Hierophant.
Hierophant, nice.
Yeah, just a basic survivor. We had a little survivor group down in the far southwest. And we started running into Extinction quite a bit, which is how we got involved with the metagame, more getting into arguments on the wiki and all that good stuff.
So I see Lord Moloch's account, your level 43 zombie character, was also joined Malton in 2006. So you got into the zombie side of things pretty early on as well, huh?
Yeah, I sprang up like a few alts in there. I also tried to get another friend in, and it was actually via getting her involved that I ran into the RRF eventually. But that's kind of skipping ahead in the narrative a bit. Yeah, once I realised that actually I quite like this game and it's a good little time filler when I was doing other shit, I started to create other characters and spread out across the map a bit, because the Southwest is not really the most exciting place to be.
So how did you end up getting into the RRF?
My journey with the RF kind of did start in the southwest, because we were, let me call up the map quickly because I can't remember, it was a long time ago now. I can't remember the suburb we were in. New Arkham. We were in like the north of New Arkham, and our nearest mall was Thompson Mall. And we were starting to run out of supplies from our fight with Extinction. I decided I'd organise like a big sort of outing to the mall so we could all come back fully stocked and then just clear them out of our zone. And when we arrived, Thompson Mall in Locketside was actually ruined. It wasn't ruined at the time, they didn't have ruin yet, it was ransacked, and everything was completely trashed, so it was a completely fruitless journey. But there was loads of spray paint around about the RRF, which I didn't know what that was. And there were a lot of sprays around about a player called Gulina and a team called the Gore Corps. and what a bunch of absolute assholes they were, how they were cheap, how they were zombie trench coaters, how they were the absolute worst pricks in the game. I'd never seen anything like it before. Yeah, just like my first taste of them was basically like, these guys must be absolute pieces of shit. So you cut forward a few months down the line, and as I mentioned, I tried to get some friends involved, and I got my best friend involved, but she didn't really link up with me. She was just roaming her character around up in the northeast. And what would happen is that because we weren't playing together, every once in a while she wouldn't get a chance to use her action points, so she'd just text me, and because she has a very sort of complex job, so she would message me and be like, "Can you just move my character, get him some ammo or something like that?" And I'd be, "Yeah, okay, fine." And this was like round about April, May time, and I suddenly ran into this frigging gigantic horde on her character. And I was like, shit, I'm about to get her character killed. So I ran the character across to the nearest mall, which was Doudney Mall in Santlerville. Completely lit up, loads of people there, so I'm like, great, I can get a bunch of ammo together there and then skip out before this horde hits this place like a hurricane. And it was then that I found out that that horde actually was the RRF.
Wow.
So it was my first taste of actually seeing them, because they were on I think it was Excursion 2, their second big tour, and they went straight for Santlerville while I was there. And at first I was going to run off, and then I was like, do you know what, this seems like fun. And the leader of Santlerville was a guy called Sexy Rexy Grossman, he's the best survivor leader I've ever seen. Just completely charismatic, loads of fun, and he convinced everyone to stay, and it turned into a big historic battle called the Battle of Santlerville. And I stayed for the entire 6 weeks of that, and I got into a running battle with the Gore Corps, because one day when I was like going around getting intel for the Beavers, the Dribbling Beavers, which was the main survivor group, Grossman's group, I ran into Moles, who was one of those names that I'd seen down in the southwest with my other character. So I'm like, this guy's supposed to be a complete asshole. So I shot him and chucked him out of the building. And that was like my first taste of the Gore Corps. And then they came after me because they viewed me as someone who was hunting them.
So
they killed me a couple of times more.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All too well about poking the hornet's nest with the Gore Corps.
Exactly. So I'm in there, and I'm involved in this running battle with them. So obviously, fuck this, I'm not leaving now. This is way too much fun, because it was the first time in which I've been playing Urban Dead, and I was logging in every couple of hours just to see if I died, because my friend Jen basically said, I don't have time, you can have the character for a while, and I know you're in this big siege and you're enjoying it, so yeah, just take the character. So she left it to me. So I was able to just go on this sort of mad battle with them, and in the end, that was a major defeat for the RRF, in which they had to leave and just admit they couldn't take them all, because by the end of it, they weren't even able to break in anymore, because the actives were blocking out every strike. And if anyone got in, it'd be like 3 or 4 zombies. It was before the days of barricade blocking, so they'd just get like shot out and thrown out.
Wait,
but
barricade blocking, what does that mean?
Barricade blocking's when the zombies lurch in your way when you're trying to barricade.
Oh, I forgot about that update. Yeah, there was a point in time where like you could still, even if zombies breached inside a building, you could still just barricade like with normal barricade rates. But then there was an update where like if zombies are present inside a building, then the success chance of putting up barricades is like negatively impacted or something.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact ratio, but it seems like the more zombies, the harder it is to barricade.
Yeah, and that was actually my suggestion, but we'll come back to that later. I was the one who went into a rant on. I went into a rant on Kevin's talk page later on, but we're skipping ahead a bit there. So we'll go
the
back.
Battle of Santlerville.
So where we go from there is that obviously the RRF admitted defeat in that battle.
Okay, right.
And they left. And they had like it was quite coolly done. There was a lot of clash shown on both sides about it, and they had a dance party at one of the local clubs.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I see. There's like 5 clubs in Santlerville.
Yeah, and there was a sort of like a recurrent like meme theme going on during the battle of a romance between Gulina and Sexy Rexy Grossman. So they became quite good friends. But what happened is, obviously, a couple of weeks have passed. I've just been involved in this huge siege, and then the Horde is gone. And I'm like, this game's now completely fucking boring, because that was the high. So what I decided to do was to just dive straight into the belly of the beast. I went onto Baja.com, found Gulina's, found her forum profile, and PM'd her directly asking if I could join, expecting her to just be like, fuck you. So for a start, I told her that I was that guy who they'd had like this little bit of a running battle with. And instead, she was just completely cool about it. It was like she asked a couple of the leaders if they thought I was worth a shot, and they were like, yeah, he seems to know how to kill people. So she had me kill a couple of people and send her screenshots of it. I used Moloch because it was my one like free character. So that's how Moloch came to be the one, and we went from there. And I very quickly became sort of embroiled, because I got along really well with Gulina. I got embroiled very quickly into like the deeper politics of the RRF.
Yeah, was this all still being done on Barha.com?
Yeah.
So this is like the old school original RRF meta was on Barha.com.
Not quite. The original RRF meta was on a forum called Desensitized, which actually collapsed before I got into the RRF, quite a bit before. And then that was eventually replaced by Baja.com for the RRF,
dude,
and by
so
Resensitized for everything else.
Like, you got into the RRF, what year would you say?
2007.
Damn, man. So they've already gone through like 2 metagaming platforms as it grew.
Yeah, and a lot of history had happened by then, which we'll come to later on in the discussion.
Cool. Okay, so now you're finally, you linked up with Gulina because you got bored after the Battle of Santlerville, and then she brings you in. Okay,
so basically what happened was, when I asked to join, obviously as I mentioned, I told her that I was a guy who'd had a running battle with them. Obviously, I didn't actually realise at the time how little being killed by survivors actually registers with the Gore Corps, because I came at it as someone who was only experienced as playing a pro survivor. So I have this mentality that dying in the game is actually a relatively big thing, because you've got to get revived, etc. What I found out very quickly from Gulina was they're like, we don't care. It doesn't really bother them in the slightest. So she was actually much cooler about it than I was expecting. She just said, all we need to see is that you're willing to kill someone. So find a survivor who's not listed on the PKers Rogues Gallery and kill a couple of them, and send me the screenshot so I can see you're willing to risk being on the Rogues Gallery to be a part of a team.
That's cool, man.
And I did that, yeah, and she just let me in straight away, like, no like vetting period, no like second layer of security, literally straight into the belly of the beast.
I'm just blown away at how organized the game was in 2007. Like, the Rogues Gallery was like, the game got released in 2005, and then 2007 there's already a Rogues Gallery keeping track of like PKers. There's already like multiple meta gaming platforms for crews to be on. That's just blowing me away right now, but go on.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, and a lot of stuff going on. So as I say, I wind up straight into the main private Gore Corps forum, and I find that I get along very well with Gulina. We have very similar senses of humor. We both like really sort of filthy, obnoxious jokes. We're both quite politically insensitive and shit like that, and we were just generally quite rude. She invited me onto the IRC chat, which is what we had before Discord became a thing.
You guys lived up to all the propaganda you saw down in Lockett side.
Pretty much, yeah, we're pretty foul. But what happened was I went from being a pro survivor to finding, through Gulina and guys like Mold, Globule, Julius Caesar, that actually I had way more in common with these guys. They were much more fun, and they had a sort of trollish element to them. Like, they enjoyed the fact that they were notorious. So our Discord channel was our Discord channel. Our IRC channel was actually fairly notorious because we had to keep it private from the rest of the RRF because first of all you weren't allowed to share breather acquired information with the rest of the RRF. That had to stay strictly within the Gore Corps. But also,
wow. What an interesting policy.
It was quite isolationist at the time. I'll come to that in a sec. But also because of the sort of, shall we say, the depravity of the images and pornography that were being shared on the IRC channel.
Oh, okay. IRC's just like a chat room, right? Like it's just one room that everyone posts on. There's no multiple channels, no multiple boards.
Yeah, that's right. So there would be there was a main RRF channel, and then the other teams would each have their own channel, but ours was like password protected because of the shit that we would get up to. Like, it's a game, you don't know who's a kid in there. If you're sharing pterodactyl porn, which we did quite a bit, you don't necessarily want like a 13-year-old to show up while you're doing it. Yes. So I got quite close to Gulina and a lot of people, and what happened at the time was there was an inter-horde competition, which was sort of like their way of recovering sort of horde morale after the loss in Santlerville.
Okay.
Called the Molten Special Olympics, in which all the strike teams were competing against each other. And Murray J. Suskind, who was the Papa at the time, and was also a member of the Orcs Unit 10 strike team, was kind of a fucking cheat and sent the Gore Corps on a peacekeeping mission for the first week of it, so we wound up way behind. And what happened was I proposed a plan to Gulina that we could go up to Dulston, because I had heard it was fully packed with people, as most places were back then. But we'd have very little opposition and we could just like rack up kills. And she basically allowed me to start organising team strikes. So because of that, she started to give me more and more authority within the team, because she could see, hey, when this guy's running things, we drop like 20 people in a half hour.
I bet you're like hungry too, man. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I was enjoying it so much just because it was the first time I'd been in truly organised Urban Dead as a leader, and she was just letting me do it because she was a very laid-back person, and she liked being the leader, like the figurehead, but she didn't like doing the work of it so much. So the fact that I was willing to come in and do all the work, she was perfectly happy with that. And that just meant that I got established, and she wound up getting into Murray's ear, basically saying this guy needs to be promoted to the War Council.
Wait, now who's this Murray guy?
Murray J. Suskind is the 4th Papa of the RRF.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
you had a strike leader for the Gore Corps, and who was that?
Gulina was the leader of the Gore Corps. She was the founder. So what happened there was basically at the Battle of Blackmoor, people kept combat reviving her, and she's got a really short fuse, similar to me. So she would literally just go off, get some ammo, come back and shoot people for it, which was quite controversial in the RRF. And she basically got support for it for some people.
Dude,
and
that's
people
such a cool foundation. I had no idea.
Yeah, they were combat reviving like crazy inside.
So the GC's like a revolutionary type group for the RRF. That's their founding.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. Gulina was kind of a revolutionary figure. As I say, if she got combat revived, she would jump up and shoot people. And it was from that ethos that the Gore Corps kind of mentality came about, because it was not popular in the RRF. There were a lot of people very angry about it. And I would always view the Gore Corps as being like the punk rock team of the RRF. They always had kind of a fuck you attitude to even people within their own team. And growing up, so to speak, within the Gore Corps with that attitude sort of shaped how I became as a leader, because very quickly, I mean, it's round about June, July, I started running strikes with the Corps. This is literally, to give you an idea of how laid back Gulina was, this is about 4 weeks after I joined the RRF. She's got me running strikes for her.
You showed a lot of potential just early, I bet.
Basically, yeah. And then by July, she's convinced Murray that I have to be brought into the War Council. By late July, early August, I was second in command of the Horde. Because Murray, he was very close friends with Gulina. They connected very strongly during the Battle of Blackmoor, and Because of that, she was in his ear a lot, and he's just promoted me and promoted me and promoted me. And obviously, the more stuff I did, the more I sort of proved that I should be given sort of like tactical authority within the team, which is how I wound up second in command, which in turn turned into how I wound up being given the big chair, which is a story in of itself, including all the stuff that happened before and after it, because I was very controversial as a choice.
Okay, so I got how you got into the RRF, and then I got how you kind of intermingled by just being, sounds like, a very hungry workhorse on the metagame on the barha.com, get like recognized for just your hustle, and then you get some opportunities and you show good results with the opportunities you were given. And then eventually, how did you get the chair, and what year do you think that was?
Oh, it was the same year. This was all really quite
2007?
quick. Yeah.
Damn, man.
It was November, early November 2007 when I was actually made Papa. So what happened was, obviously, there was quite a bit of controversy around my selection because I was the first, as they call it, death cultist. You know I hate that term. I always use necro-terrorist.
Yeah, necro-terrorist is a badass term. So because of your like
Yeah.
punk rocky attitude and background, and you're the new kid on the scene, there was some controversy with you with that decision.
That and my personality, because I became like official Gore Corps leader around about late August when Gulini was just like, this guy's way fucking better at this than I am, so I'm just going to give him the whole thing and let him do his thing. And she sort of stuck around as like the grandma of the Gore Corps, if you know what I mean. So she was like, I would always be asking her like advice, always be checking stuff with her, like, is this in keeping with our ethos and things like that.
Damn,
but other than that,
cool.
she would just let me do whatever I wanted because she was like that.
Hello again, Roftwood. Thanks for tuning in to part 1 of my discussion with the RCC's public enemy number 1, my personal all-time arch nemesis, Lord Moloch, seasoned veteran and present strike leader of the Ridleybank Resistance Front's infamous Gore Corps necro-terrorist unit. This RCC Fireside Chat is a post-apocalyptic production proudly presented to you by the Roftwood Coordination Center. I'm Zombie GG, and as always, Roftwood, the pleasure's been mine.